Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Vayne supplementary guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at Crit Vayne once again. Now, of course, we've already made a video on Crit Vayne. We've made an updated complete guide on Hit Vayne, which I still love on Hit Vayne personally because of my philosophy when playing Vayne. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the gameplay later on. But here we're back with Crit Vayne, and basically the main change is going for Essence Reaver on Vayne. Now, with the previous crit build, you didn't actually go for Essence Reaver, but of course, Essence Reaver with that on-hit passive is actually pretty useful on Vayne since she uses abilities very often, and she of course auto-attacks a lot to proc it, right? So if you take a look at what's going on with the top three players, you will see that the first guy has kind of a mixture of crit and on-hit, but the next two people basically have this build, but they've gone for Bork as a second last item. Now, I personally like to go for a defensive item as a last item, so I don't go for Bork there. But let's take a look at the build. So of course you want to start off with the attack speed boots because Vayne of course focuses on proccing her silver bolts with the 3-hit passive, so you want more attack speed. And then of course your standard first crit item is going to be Bloodthirster. It gives you a ton of AD as well as physical vamp and defensive stats like the shield and the defenses when you proc it. And then, of course, a very logical next item is going to be the Blaster. Now, Blaster, of course, gives you that burst damage, extra range as well, and wave clear. Now, all of these are important for Vayne, right? Because obviously you want to burst someone down to get a reset on your, or rather not reset, but extension on your ultimate. Of course, that range helps you with poke. And also, Vayne has trash wave clear, so Blaster is pretty much essential whenever you go for a crit build so that you have a little bit better wave clear. Right? And then, as I mentioned just now, Essence Reaver is a really great item on Vayne. You get a decent stat line, but of course that Spellblade passive is going to help you out a ton with your DPS because you're going to be able to tumble a lot and proc your Essence Reaver pretty often, and it's going to just give you a lot of extra damage. And finally, since you don't actually need Mole Reminder, now, I've seen a lot of Vaynes build Mole Reminder as their fourth item, but it's a complete waste because even with the crit build, Vayne's main damage still comes from her 3-hit passive. So I don't really think you need more reminder with that as the case. So I think IE is just a general better item. Now you don't really have a lot of other crit items you could go for. I guess you could go for like Phantom Dancer at this stage, since you don't actually have that much attack speed in your build. But I just thought IE kind of seemed the best to round it out. And then of course you want a defensive item, and for me that's normally going to be Twin Guard most of the time, since you're always in close quarters taking a lot of damage. Getting those extra defenses is going to come in really handy. Now, it's a standard runes loadout for ADCs. And for the spells, I like to go for Flash and Ghost if possible, because Ghost with Vayne is really good combined with your ultimate just to run people down and kite around fights. Of course, if you need, sorry, not that button, but if you need Cleanse, you can of course go for that as well. Now, I don't really recommend Barrier or Exhaust, because if you don't need Cleanse, you probably should be going for Ghost most of the time. But of course, if you prefer that, Barrier or Exhaust, those are options as well. But with all that said, now let's move on to talking about the gameplay. Okay, so let's take a look at the gameplay itself. So, first thing I want to discuss is, of course, Vayne herself, right? Now, so you guys know I rank Vayne pretty low in terms of ADCs and how good I think she is. And the main reason for that is Vayne is really like a mid to late game ADC where you need a couple of items to function, and her main purpose is to kill tanks, right? However, if you kind of look at the pool of ADCs that exist right now, there are a lot of amazing picks to play against tanks, like AP Varus, like Sivir, like Ashe, and maybe even Xayah could be pretty good because tanks normally want to kind of walk at you, and things like that, right? Even like Caitlyn for lane is pretty decent. So I don't really think that Vayne is that amazing of a pick as we get into a very insane early game fight here. We get exhausted by both MF and Braum, by the way. So eventually we do end up going down because we don't have the damage to take them down. Now normally Vayne is actually a very strong level 1 champion, which is something that a lot of people don't really realize, because with the lethal tempo and with the tumbles to kind of run people down, you're actually very strong level 1. But with both MF and Braum taking exhaust, we get exhausted 2 times in a row. So that was definitely not expected. Now here we're trying to turn it around, but Braum of course puts the shield up and we're not really able to get damage onto the MF, so that's pretty unfortunate. So as I was saying, like, Vayne is really not that great of a pick, and I would say that the bare minimum, if you ever want to pick Vayne, is there should be two very tanky champions on the enemy team, preferably like three. In this game, it's like Poppy and Braum are pretty tanky. So when you don't have like three tanks on the enemy team, I think you can go for the crit build, because with the on-hit build, it's really strong against tanks. So when you're playing against like three or four like tanks slash like fighters, you really want to go for the on-hit build. But if you're playing against like two tanks, then crit build probably works very well, so you can also do damage to the squishier targets. So yeah, not a huge fan of Vayne personally. So here we have Kane coming in for the gank. I pop the Ghost just to get to safety, condemn the Vayne condemn the MF away, and then just get under my tower, basically. So yeah, so Vayne is a pretty fun champion to play. I do enjoy playing her, but I don't really play her that often because, as I mentioned, there are normally quite a bit of better options. But when I do feel like just having some fun with Vayne, I do like to play Vayne. Of course, Vayne is a very fun champion to play. It's one of those champions that you can really 1v9 on if you play her very well. And yeah, definitely one of the champions that I personally enjoy playing. I just wish that she was a little bit stronger, a little bit better in the current meta. Of course, we're a little bit behind in this game because we just died to the MF. So we're definitely not in the best of shapes. But of course, you know, we will outscale MF by a lot, right? So we really just need to kind of wait for a mid and late game where we're really gonna be in that position where we can, you know, do better than our counterparts. So here Braum gets pretty caught out. We basically combo him into the wall. Unfortunately though, we get knocked up by him, and then we almost get the passive proc on us, so we're gonna have to flash under the tower, because if that passive procs, we are gonna end up dying, and we take another bounce from MF. Honestly, after MF got nerfed, she hasn't really been very popular anymore, so you don't actually see MF so often nowadays compared to last time. But of course, MF is still very strong in lane, and with those bounces, they do hurt, they do chunk you out, and you definitely gotta watch out not to stand behind minions like what I am doing quite a bit in this game. Here Braum loses his mind, tries to go for the fruit, and this is a very common mistake, right? So here he gets completely caught out, we eventually kill him. He somehow got the shield up, despite the fact that he was basically just caught by chain CC. I guess there was a slight gap between the chain CC that allowed him to, of course, get the shield off, but we finally get a return kill onto him. But even with that kill, we are still behind the MF by like 400 gold now. Aurora's coming in, does get the burst combo onto me, gets the ignite on, and I'm running for my life. MF gets the final auto in, and unfortunately the ignite ends up killing me. So that's pretty unfortunate because Nami played that really well, bubbling the Aurora and making sure she cannot follow afterwards. Although Aurora did already get all of her damage off, right? Like as a mage, if you use all your spells already and the spells are on cooldown, if you get CC'd and don't die, it doesn't really matter all that much, because you've already gotten your damage off and you're waiting for your cooldowns anyway. So unfortunately, the MF got in that last auto, which of course caused my demise to the ignite, and Aurora gets off a successful roam, all things considered. Now here, we get off the damage onto the MF. Braum unfortunately comes over again and gets the knockup onto me. Huge heal comes in from Nami. I get exhausted again. And here I pop the ulti. Now I realize Braum doesn't have the shield anymore, so I'm switching targets to dealing with the ADC first, so we get rid of the MF. And then we're going to go onto the Braum. Now of course, when the shield comes up, we cannot focus the MF at all, which is of course what I was initially trying to do. And then I realized midway through the fight that focusing Braum makes no sense if he cannot really block for MF. You know, we should just focus the MF and get the kill onto her. And that's exactly what we do. And we are rewarded with a double kill, finally putting us on par with the MF who has completed her collector. Now unfortunately for me, I'm like about 100 gold away from getting Bloodthirster, but we cannot farm the tower plate because Kane is nearby and he will punish us for it. So unfortunately, this leads to a very awkward situation where we basically have to recall, get the cloak, and then come back to lane just needing that extra like 100 gold, or like at this point, I think with this wave, I definitely have enough already to get the Bloodthirster. So I really kind of want to reset with Darius and Mastery going to the opposite side of the map to take the Herald. Enemy team takes the dragon, and we really just want to push this wave in and get a reset, if the enemy team will allow us to. MF gets a bounce on me. Now, I'm not too concerned here because I'm not looking to fight. However, Nami does trade ults with Braum. Nami does get caught a little bit, and we end up taking a lot of damage. But as I say, we're not looking to fight, so it doesn't matter. We don't pop any of our, or sorry, at least I don't pop any of my summoner spells. It's an ult for ult trade with Nami and Braum, and MF ulted as well. So at the end of the day, I guess you could say we traded Nami summoner spells for MF ult, which is not a good deal, all things considered, but we are able to basically survive, and we do get the reset and get ourselves the Bloodthirster. So now they've secured the tower already. They've rotated to the mid lane, or at least MF has. So this gives us a little bit of a window to push. We can see Aurora and Poppy on vision on the other side of the map. We've just seen MF in the mid lane. So it looks like the green light to kind of push a little bit. Now MF and Braum are now coming back here, unfortunately. So unfortunately, we can't really continue to push. Kayn, of course, has been missing this entire time. So he could be anywhere. We don't want to get caught by him. Now here Braum puts up the shield, but he's not really blocking anything. Like, a common mistake by Braum players is shielding when there's no need to. So that wastes an important cooldown and lets you take free damage for no reason. Now all things considered, this Braum has been playing pretty well. But that shield right then was pretty questionable. Now here is a very awkward situation, right? So Vladimir is getting caught. He's running down toward the Darius, right? And Darius is getting caught as well. So Vladimir dies. Now Darius is in a very awkward position. Master Yi tries to help. Me and Nami are running across the entire map to join our team for the fight. I decide to walk the safe way. Nami gets there a lot faster than I do because she can speed herself up. Now, by the time we reach, our entire team is dead. And now we're stuck in a 1v4. So I try to desperately trade the kill onto the Aurora because I realize that I'm in trouble. Right, so I am trying to run away now. I pop my ulti, I pop my flash, I pop my ghost. However, with Poppy stopping my dash, I can't actually get out, so I'm just trying to run away, and I eventually end up dying to the MF. So this is one of those classic team mistakes where basically everybody goes in one by one and dies. Like basically it was first 4v2 with Vladimir and Darius in the fight. You know, Vladimir dies, Darius dies, and then Master Yi goes in 1v4, he dies, and then Nami and myself are stuck in a 2v4 again, and then we die. So basically over the course of that fight, our entire team just died one by one pretty much, and that was just not good. So here Poppy's trying to push the tower. Of course we're not going to allow that. We're coming over to defend the tower, and we're not going to let her back either, right? There's no reason to let her back for free. She's trying to channel her back in the middle of the lane. If I don't stop her, the minion will. So anyways, here we get off good damage. We have Lethal Tempo stacked up already. She's running away because she knows that in a 1v1, there's nothing she can really do to me. I'm just going to kite her out. And unless she can flash on top of me and W to prevent me from rolling away and somehow kill me, there's nothing much she can really do, right? So I'm able to get the priority, I'm able to push in the wave, and then I can rotate over to mid where a fight is kind of breaking out. Aurora gets chunked out a little bit. Braum and Kayn are kind of waiting in the wings. Master Yi goes ham, goes all the way in. Nami ult goes in. I get a good damage onto the Kayn. Unfortunately, now I'm stuck in a really awkward position. The Veil saves me from the knockup and actually allows me to kind of run away, but Kayn eventually gets on top of me and I do end up dying. In the meantime, the fight continues. Darius has full stacks now and has ultimate, so he's trying to get a reset. Unfortunately, somehow he does not reset onto MF. Does get the kill on her eventually, but doesn't get the reset, so she has full stacks still. And he's trying his best to apply the stacks onto the enemies, but unfortunately without the ultimate it's really difficult. He does play the fight pretty decently though. I wouldn't say like amazingly, but he did get the full stacks. He did apply the full stacks onto a lot of people, but unfortunately it doesn't quite work out for him. He's now kiting them out, and I have just come off the respawn. I'm waiting behind, and I'm going to start to focus the Braum, who's 1 HP. We get him, Poppy. We're just going to condemn her into the wall, finish her off. We get the double. And enemy team is now full on retreat with their 2 tanks dead. Kayn is running away. Aurora's nearby. I'm just waiting with the Darius to see if Aurora tries to disrupt him, and maybe we can get the jump on her, but she doesn't do anything so bold. And with that, I believe I can get my blaster, so I was trying to look for a reset there, but Aurora definitely was going to disrupt me, so I end up cancelling my reset to instead attempt to do the Baron, with the enemy team probably caught off guard and not really able to contest at the moment. Kayn realizes what's happening and tries to go in, but unfortunately he just runs into my entire team and goes down. A huge wave has accrued in the bottom lane, and you guys know how much I love to farm these waves. So I'm farming, but a fight starts breaking out, so I'm gonna have to leave the wave to rotate over to the fight, help out my team. Now there's two tanks in the front line, and of course this is Vayne's specialty. I'm just DPSing down the tanks, pop the ult, trying to kill the Braum to get the reset off of the ult. We get that, and now with that we're gonna run the Poppy down. She's trying to ult, so we're going to have to condemn her to interrupt the ult as well as just CC her against the wall. She pops the gargoyles. Darius, I believe, is tanking and stops tanking, unfortunately. So, I mean, he could have just stood there and tanked, but doesn't. So now Nami and Master Yi are caught in a very awkward position. Master Yi goes down. Nami's getting chased, but I don't think Kayn wants to run into me and Darius. Darius now tanking again, and eventually, we get the kill onto Kayn. Nami does end up dying for it though. But overall, I believe we get an ace. Yeah, Braum only just respawned, so that was an ace. We get the tower, and I would say that's overall a pretty successful operation. Now we finally get the blaster, and just because of how much gold we've gone, we actually get pretty much all the components of the Essence Reaver as well. Because we haven't been able to back for blaster for the longest time, which is what we've been trying to do. So that eventually leads to us getting a lot more than what we initially wanted to back for. Which is not really a problem, except that we, of course, were lacking that item spike for quite a while. Now my team is doing pretty well in general, except for Vladimir, who's basically been feeding the entire game. And Darius there is now stuck in the 1v3 after taking the tower. He is very tanky though, so you can see here we actually make it over to help him out. Kayn is trying to run for the hills. We're now focusing the Poppy, who is like the closest target, and we're looking to get the kill on her so we can reset the ulti, which is what we do. Now Kayn is running away. We get the kill on him as well, and again the ulti duration extends. However, we run out of it, and we're now just gonna keep on pushing down and look for this tier 2 tower. Enemy team will have a hard time defending this one with my entire team here. With only Aurora and Braum left alive. Braum gets hooked, gets basically chain CC'd here, but is able to escape. Aurora pops the stasis, and Braum ends up going down to Darius. Darius gets the ulti reset, which allows us to get this tower with him basically zoning people out of the way. And on the way out, we just clear the minions and we can look to reset. Now this is a pretty dangerous location to reset, especially for the last person who pressed reset, because we're in full vision of the entire enemy team. But I'm the first one to press it, so I'm pretty much safe, unless the enemy team decides to dive into like 4 people. We complete our Essence Reaver and we also pick up a Stasis. Now I think the Stasis is pretty important to deal with Kayn and Aurora, who are very like one-shot oriented champions. Who definitely do have the ability to just burst me down 100 to 0. So when I spot them, I probably need to pop my stasis so that I don't just get one shot. Now here I'm just clearing the wave as the enemy team is nearby. My team looks like they're about to start a fight. Now I'm just continuing to clear the wave until the fight kind of breaks out, which it almost is at this time. So I see the fight starting. I'm just making my way over there to help out my team. Enemy team is a little bit split, and I'm just focusing Braum for free. Braum realizes that he's blocking for basically nobody, and he's going to hop back over to safety. Aurora tries to go for a combo on me, but I'm able to dodge her combo. And now Baron is of course up again, so we're just defending the general Baron area. Braum taking free damage once again. Aurora doesn't hit her combo on me. Kayn now goes in on me. And I'm just going to pop the stasis just so that he cannot one-shot me with the ulti. And now he's somewhere behind me, which I'm very well aware of, but Here we are looking just to deal with the rest of the enemy team. Now MF is so far in the front line that I'm expecting my team to easily deal with her, so I'm actually flashing into the back line to deal with I guess you can say the tanks are in the back line, which is pretty stupid, but I basically flash in to kill the Aurora, and then I'm left with the other two tanks in the back line because MF is somehow in front of her tanks. So eventually we do get the kill onto Aurora. MF dies to my team, and Poppy is tanking a lot of damage. Eventually does go down at my hand, and now we are going to take out this inhib tower, second inhib of the game. And now we have a huge wave coming in the top lane. Enemy team is respawning though, so I don't really think we can end at this point, so we're gonna have to back off and look for a reset and then maybe go Baron. So we have enough gold to pick up the entire IE in one buy, which is exactly what we do. So we're now at 100% crit, and we're looking to go for the Baron. So the enemy team is actually at the Baron area. Master Yi, with a pretty in-play of Hex gating into the entire enemy team, gets veiled by Nami, so he doesn't take damage from Kayn. Oh, Kayn is now pretty low because he's a little bit out of position. And I'm trying to chase him down. I can't reach him because my range is just not long enough, and I'm basically attacking Braum instead. So he actually survives on 1 HP. Braum eventually goes down. We chase down Aurora to get the kill onto her. Poppy is now running away, but without the tower to protect her, we can basically run her down and get the kill on her. Kayn nowhere to run as well. We get the triple, and we tank 2 Nexus shots, which does break the shield from the Bloodthirster. And we're going to be able to end the game right here with MF being chased down by Darius near the Baron area. But there we have it. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.